If you thought it was okay for companies to promote Mother's Day or Father's Day online, well, guess again. It's a big problem because I think it's symptomatic of a mindset of coddling people and not preparing them for the next level of life. So what did you find out when you were digging into all this?
Here we have Dr. Phil, one of America's most internationally acclaimed psychologists and authors, cracking up at how corporations participate in woke culture blindly. Dr. Phil has shown very vocal dissent towards the left-leaning liberal media's push for inclusivity beyond common sense, and has stated that these sorts of overly inclusive spaces are going to exclude the general population from being able to participate in society. What other strong opinions does Dr. Phil have on this hot topic issue? Do the people agree with him? Let's find out together. Let's continue on with the clip we saw and see what Dr. Phil has to say about terms like mom and dad becoming offensive.
So should I stop saying that?
No, not you.
Because you're mom and mom?
No, not you per se. I'm just saying as far as it's
Oh,
being
but
taught.
Anybody. If that was our experience, yours is mom and mom, I'm happy to say mom and mom, but why would mom and dad be on the don't say list?
We can see Dr. Phil has come up with a clearly logical solution. In today's world, the woke left would much rather remove terms they deem to be offensive and replace them with what is suitable in their eyes. But Dr. Phil, in this scenario, is stating that most people are happy to call others whatever they feel validated by. But if someone only feels validated if the norm is completely eliminated, then tolerance as a virtue will become completely non-existent in the long run. Terms like mom and dad arise out of personal experience. If a person wishes their child to call them something else, then they should only impose it within their family and social circle, and not society as a whole. This issue runs quite deep in society, especially when it comes to politics. Here's what Dr. Phil has to say about the political divide in America.
I mean, you're out there and you look down and your feet are just melting into the pavement. All right, now what are you going to do? You're in pain and you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to turn around and run back or you're going to bolt to the other side, but you are not going to stand in the middle and just melt into the pavement. You're going to go one side or the other. And that's what people are. That's how people are. They get into a position of pain, they're going to resolve one way or the other. And once you get to the side of that road, what's it going to take to get you to go back out on that highway to go over to the other side?
Dr. Phil is absolutely correct. In today's world, people have begun defining themselves on their political stances and not on the merits of their character. We haven't been able to have a civil conversation with the other side of the political fray without it devolving into a shouting match and personal insults for a long time. We have to be able to overcome this situation if we want to move forward as a nation. Opening a dialogue and finding a middle ground has always been the point of politics. So, as Dr. Phil suggests, we all have to be willing to converse with the other side and reach an amicable solution. Dr. Phil wants America as a nation to rally together once more to fight this internal struggle. It's clear what Dr. Phil is trying to say in this scenario. He wants Americans to not be so steeped in their own internal politics, and much rather open a dialogue wherein we get back to the core values the nation was built on. He's telling us not to pay attention to the loudest voices, which are more often than not the woke minority that demands changes for society as a whole to accommodate themselves. Dr. Phil also states that these demands that are being made are not viable because they are not based on any sort of science or even socio-political discipline. It's just personal demands being imposed on the general public. The main issue that society seems to face at this point in time is the fact that people have not been educated properly. The ideas of biological sex and gender have been misconstrued to the extreme. Just look at this 5th grade teacher on the Dr. Phil show trying to teach a member of the audience the basic difference between the two.
You can pretend to be a man, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Live your life and tell me what a man is.
Well, what's a man to you? You define a man for me.
You have chromosomes that are X and Y. That's what a man is.
So why are we just looking at the science of this as an example?
Science.
When we've learned sex and gender identity are they're completely different things.
They're not completely different.
They are
things.
completely different.
Completely different words.
We can see that this person is trying to argue with the teacher that sex and gender are two very different things and they should not be taken together. When the teacher asks why they blatantly ignore the science, they state that we don't have to because it's a personal experience. It is such thought processes that mix the idea of self-identity with hard, cold facts, which causes fights among people. It's fine if you want to be called by a certain set of pronouns, but that does not mean that everyone will or should. No one should be forced to comply with your demands because if they are, many other ideas like the freedom of speech and expression get threatened as well. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and smash that subscribe button to see more of it. So, do you agree with Dr. Phil? Let us know in the comment section what you think about Dr. Phil's controversial statements.